Hello, welcome to the program Big Talk on Global TV. My name is Topsy Gemba. Big Talk is a program that runs consistently from Monday to Sunday where we look issues and analyze them. And they are so topical in themselves because they create an information for those who care to know. And we now provide those who are watching us with guests who have the take to discuss on some of these issues that are trending in the society. Today's edition is yet another one, I believe, that you will definitely enjoy watching, and I simply urge you to stay tuned while we provide you with information required. In the National Assembly or anywhere at all, remember that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at a point came up with a presidential directive that police personnel attached to VIPs should be withdrawn because of the spike of insecurity we noticed at a particular point in time. And then they put the calculation together by assessing the number of police attached to these VIPs running to thousands. And then their main function of securing the nation in a way seemingly ignored. So he felt the best way to go, as much as we have the personnel running to thousands of them, but they're not doing anything, but just providing security for VIPs, including their members of the families, their wives, their whatever, their children. In fact, it was important for him to come up with this idea. And so he did say it. And when he said it, we have begun seeing some of these police being withdrawn from these VIPs. But the most hit are the senators or member House of Representatives, both in the Senate and House of Representatives. And very many of them who had police with them, they have been taken away. But now they are ranting, they're saying that they are exposed, and that exposure appears like affecting them. And the implementation of this policy appears to be affecting only the lawmakers. But when you check the ministers, check whoever, some of them are still running with their police all over town, including the members of their families. That becomes a source of concern, and so some of them are complaining. And no wonder we saw Ningi, coming up with an order. I mentioned that before the plenary. I think it should be today, and or yesterday, I guess. And they felt the need to talk to the president that it should be holistic, or either to return some of them back to the senators. And that's the more reason why I decided to invite my friend, a social commentator, Dr. Joshua Bennett, to help us in putting these facts together for those who care to know. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you, Gimba. It's a pleasure being with you once again to discuss Nigeria.
I know. I desire to take the lengthy part of it so that those who are watching us will know the direction we are going. But that's just not the topic we'll be discussing. We have this sudden increase of airfares in Nigeria, from 120,000 from Abuja to Lagos. We are paying closely to 400,000 to 700,000 just per head. What has been the reason bringing that sudden increase of the hike in the airfares? These are some of the things we'll be looking at before the program runs off. Yes, over to you.
Okay. First of all, what are the reasons? We can only speculate at this time because the Senate, of course, has invited the Minister of Aviation, Barrister Festus Keyamo-Sah, to come provide insight into what could have led to this sudden spike in aviation fare from, like you rightly said, 100 and something thousand to about 500,000
to 600,000.
600 from Abuja to Enugu, 500,000 and what have you. It is scary, so to say, and that is coming at a time when the nation routes are themselves not good enough to travel on, with insecurities, the incidents of kidnapping here and there. Yes, the federal government is doing what it can do within the period it embarked on the repair of the federal roads. It is doing the best it can do. But I think the aviation operators, the aviation sector operators, should be humane enough to understand the dilemma Nigerians find themselves right now. A lot of Nigerians would rather travel by air instead of going by road because of the peculiar times we find ourselves in. to then skyrocket the aviation fare to about 500,000 and above. You ask yourself, how many Nigerians can afford this? How many Nigerians can afford this? So I also want to believe that the aviation sector operators also have their reasons. And at the expense of speaking for them, even when we don't have all the facts laid on the table, somebody said that the cost of aviation fuel plays a part in it. Another person talks about how these airline operators operate several routes and why they need to fill in the aeroplanes to be able to keep the business running. Somebody operates from Abuja to Enugu, and then Enugu probably to Port Harcourt to Akwa Ibom and what have you. He gets to Enugu from Abuja, and maybe he doesn't have enough passengers going to Port Harcourt. He does a multiplication of the fare of the empty seats and factor it into the fare. Meaning, if you have about 20 passengers in an aeroplane that should carry about 150 passengers, the 20 passengers have to bear the cost of the empty seats. So I think the Senate has done the best to invite Festus Keyamo to come and throw light into this. But beyond Festus Keyamo explaining in the usual Nigerian way of excusing anomalies, the effort should be made towards bringing down this fare so that many Nigerians can afford it against the background of the security realities we have on our roads today.
What about festivity like Christmas, for instance? Can that be one of the factors as well? Because if you realize, most times those who have been in this country will tell you that indeed when a very big occasion like this, either Christmas or Salah, you discover things just change suddenly. Not necessarily that they are supposed to be like the way they are changed, but because of this Nigerian factor in us, they take advantage over people who are considered to be vulnerable to them because they know they must travel, because this is something that they often do and they must really travel. And so the person who offers you that mobility, he thinks in that direction and decides to tell you this is what he wants you to pay, regardless whether there is insecurity or not.
Nigerians being what they are, I think it's a system failure where you have proper regulation of things. Businessmen will not just wake up and decide to throw the masses under the bus. First, it's a system failure. First, also, I think up until government is able to put the necessary check and balances in place, I think government should also be proactive. When we are approaching period like this, government should think of ways to subsidize some of these things. For instance, with what is happening in the aviation, it will even, let's even step away a little from the aviation sector. It will surprise you to know that in the area of road transportation, transport fare from Mararaba, there is a sister state, the sister town to Abuja, to Owerri, I wouldn't want to call the transport company in question, is 75,000 naira. Just to go.
That's to Imo Owerri.
To Imo Owerri is 75,000 just to go there. Then you factor in going to and coming back, you are looking at over 100,000 by road. By road. Of course, you bring in other factors as the cost of fuel. The recent government economic policies have also not helped matters. Because when transporters have to pay through their roads to get fuel. And of course, you know that in vehicle operation, fuel is not the only element to consider. You are looking at fuel, you are looking at maintenance, you are looking at a whole lot of factors. So government should wear her thinking cap and know that anytime she takes an economic decision, the ripple effect will be on the people. Since the cost on PMS the cap was removed. Nigerians have not fared any better. And if government was proactive enough, sensing of course what the culture has been with Nigerian businessmen, especially those in the transportation sector, government would have announced a set of subsidies to cushion the effect that this will have on the people. If, for instance, government was thinking ahead, government probably would have come up with a plan, liaise with the aviation people, and say, okay, guys, you know something? What is the problem? What are we looking at for the festivity period? What are we looking at? Then they will tell government, this ABCD is what we are looking at. And the government say, okay, because of the people, we will meet you at point ABCD to cushion the effect on the people. Unfortunately, the government is what it is. I think the government is preoccupied.
You see, Nigeria is truly a funny country. It doesn't occur anywhere at all where movement of people and services, you now discover those who provide that opportunity for people to have access to, will not decide in a way that they were going to make us almost dry at a point. Short distances they're supposed to cover. Like for instance, on the road, using land transportation, just to cover a distance, particularly at this period that Christmas is about few days counting. Just to move from Abuja to Kafanchan or to Kaduna town, which takes closely to about either 1.5 or 2 hours a drive. You know, somebody at about this time will now tell you to pay 20,000 naira or more, and he collects this money just on one person, but as many as he could, and then still, you know, fix so many in a very tiny seat and make that money 20 per head as a result of that.
Well, see,
it's quite very unfortunate. I must really say that.
It may be unfortunate, Gimba.
I'm aware that there are challenges today in transportation. Is it to talk about bad roads, or either the cost of fuel you buy, or either the maintaining of these vehicles they use? But again, they know the economy of this country, that nobody finds it funny in assessing money to meet up with the daily needs of his family, himself, and other things that he takes care of. And then because they believe that you must travel, being a festive period like Christmas and New Year, they calculate far beyond the amount. It just geometrically increase money, you know, without taking into cognizance the effect the individual is going to have as a result of that. And I often imagine, if road costs that much, you can expect how it will cost. Then you now, when they're flying, and then you now look at what are the reasons as to why these people are flying. They are being afraid to be kidnapped. And maybe the operator, like rightly mentioned, might actually say, okay, since these people are highly placed Nigerians and they are being afraid of being kidnapped, the money they're supposed to pay like ransom,
advantage of the situation.
Let them take it away from them.
Yeah.
So that's why from 120,000 to 400,000 to 600,000, depending where your route is.
You know, there are racketeers in this air business. You remember the story of Comrade Senator Adams Oshomole?
Yes.
What happened to him at the airport?
Yeah.
And many other Nigerians have talked about how airline operators and staff deliberately scuttle the process in order to inflate the fare to their benefit. That is one side of it. Another side of it is, like I mentioned earlier, we operate a loose capitalist system where the regulatory agencies are in most cases compromised, and they are doing next to nothing about their job. Now, reduce this conversation to what happens on the road. We bear the brunt and then extend it to the traveler. That way, and also, you also need to realize that the driver himself also goes to the market you go to. And this for him, he's not going to see this volume of travelers after the festive period. So this is about the time he needs to triple his gains, his profits. So So there's a gamut of factors that comes into the consideration. But the baseline is the failure of regulatory agencies to put a check on this.
Yeah, I agree with the interpreter because it's a case of, a vehicle carrying a dead man and then the driver charges you high. You are bereaved. It's obvious you are bereaved. And without any sympathy, you are being expected to pay much money before the corpse is transported wherever you are taking it to.
Because not all
the dynamics is like the Nigerians, like the survival of the fittest. That's the way I see how we are. You understand? Survival of the fittest. Nobody bothers. There's no morality, no conscience in our hearts. Because the chase for money is on a very high lane, and he does not really bother whether or not it's injurious to whoever is asked to pay, as much as he believes that you must really do that. So he tells you any amount he wants to tell you. You can imagine somebody who is selling in a market a commodity that could be like just 1 naira, but for a start he tells you, give me 20,000 naira. But that thing is not up to that amount. And if you don't price it well, he takes away the money from you easily like that over a particular thing that ought not to have been like that. So this is, I don't know the society which we are dealing.
I choose not to look at the Nigerian society as it is today from a moral perspective, because morally, the moral fabrics of the Nigerian society are gone. Morality has been pushed aside by the forces that occupy the leadership positions in the country. Nigeria has been monetized. Every aspect of the Nigerian society has been monetized.
Quite frankly.
You seek justice today, it goes to the highest bidder. Whatever you do in Nigeria, if you don't have the money, you are the mercy of whoever has the money.
Yeah. You become an easy predator.
You become a target easily.
A prey rather.
So what the man in the market, the driver on the road, the fuel attendant at the fuel station, what every Nigerian is doing is to, save themselves from that dynamics that will make them easy prey. They need to have the wherewithal in the event of finding themselves on the wrong side of the law. Because the law is premised on who has the financial wherewithal to swing the pedal of justice. So if the politician who is over there, the leaders who are over there, who occupy vantage position to change the story in the society, will rather corner the resources to themselves. Okay, come to think of it, when last did you enjoy water did you enjoy pipe-borne water?
Not at all.
Completely.
Just take a look of it. Like those houses, when you pass Abacha Barracks, as you are descending towards Nyanya, sort of, those houses, these beautiful houses you see, in a small hill there. Nearly every house you see, carries an overhead tank. And this overhead tank is not water that is from the
public water system.
For the public water system, but rather the
individual generated domestic water.
Yeah.
So now, what do you say about it?
Honestly.
Nigerians have been reduced to fending for themselves at every bend of the road. So, like you said the other time, the Nigerian society has been literally reduced to a jungle, where it is the survival of the fittest. And that's why every man out there, whether you are a driver, a traffic warden, whoever you are looking for that means to get an extra income, because your normal income will not meet the demands of the day. Because the government that should subsidize to cushion the effect of it has literally removed the subsidy plug on virtually every aspect of our national life. So if the driver is charging you higher for a period of time that he knows that the traffic volume is high and he doesn't know when next he will see you, or he knows that the next time he will see you is a few months from from today, and between today and when next he see you, the dynamics of life will be at play. So he will lash on it. Because there is no regulation. And the moral fabric and the governance, the responsible governance index has dropped sharply. So we are just living to survive and hoping for a better day.
Can you just imagine? Quite very unfortunate, really. And that's why sometimes they kill to make money without knowing that they are doing it to a human being.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a case of you either survive or you eat it.
Or you become a victim.
Because the system is there not to protect you. The systems in Nigeria as we have it today are not there to protect you. They are there to eat you up.
Can you imagine?
Not because they were designed to eat you up, but because they've been compromised. So instead of doing what they've been created to do, they are not serving the other way around. Yeah. The gun is not created to do bad entirely. The gun has its good intention. But if found in the wrong hands, it becomes a tool for evil. The system in Nigeria has been created to do good. But because it is operating against its metrics, the people have been left to survive for themselves.
No wonder. When I really saw Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, standing up, because these are people who are coming from Lagos. They are senators here in Abuja, but in a period like this where we intend to celebrate Christmas, maybe in a very short while, we're just counting days, and they believe they're likely to travel home to meet their loved ones. They have really discovered that sudden spike or hike of airfares to either Lagos or either in the eastern part of Nigeria. The person that actually came up with this particular motion, it's Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, and they're supported by Solomon Olamilekan from Lagos, and very many of them indeed. So if people at that particular level in society, are beginning to complain, it wasn't like that before, but they begin to complain, that means ourselves that are the last rung of the ladder, we're in for it.
Their complaint may not be because they cannot afford it. Their complaint may be because there are people who are dependent on them that they need to foot their being. So it's eating into what little resources they have for themselves. But again, I do not blame the crop of senators and lawmakers we have at the moment. There has been a systemic failure from years before today. Unfortunately, the current administration came into power and started implementing certain economic policies that were not scientifically thought through. And the ripple effect from about 2023 when they came in has been there. All they've been doing since then is trying to manage the situation to see what best they can get out of it. But the damage has been done. Whether Nigeria will return to the path of sanity and growth remains to be seen. But the effect of the economic policy that the administration began in 2023, of course, it had warned Nigerians that tough times will be there. But these are not the kind of tough times we bargained for. We appreciate if truly the economic policies, the economic renewal or renewed hope policies will bear fruit at the end of the day. But how many people will survive to see those fruits?
And then,
how many people will survive? So we need to be alive until that day. What that means in essence is that government at this point should wake up and liaise. I think government did it some time back. Is it this administration or previous administration? They created palliative. They liaised with transport owners and came up with palliative programs where they cushioned the effect.
I don't just believe it's just cosmetic in nature. If a crisis comes up like the way most of us are experiencing in this country, if there's no permanent solution and somebody comes up with a measure that will only help you momentarily
at that
moment, and then you get back to the same situation, it's like a disease you are treating and it's not really going. So if a system appears to be like very bad, and the government is said to be very proactive and then foresighted in everything it does, they ought to have known various places of how to handle some of these challenges, so that after a very long while, the best of these results will begin to fail them. But here we are. You know, somebody tells you he's giving you a bag of rice. Maybe it's not even up to 10 measures. And you have a family of 4 or 5. How long will that go? And then he calls it palliative. By the time it's exhausted, you come back to square one. That's the situation we're really facing. And so there's no way they'll ever say they're doing it and then they will get accolades.
Unfortunately, we are not a nation of thinkers. And even the few thinkers amongst us are not given the opportunity to express themselves in a way that it will benefit the larger whole. We are a nation of people that think because we have the resources individually, we have the connection to quote and unquote the kingmakers in the country, and for very flimsy sentiments, the wrong people are put where they shouldn't be. If you have a nation of thinkers, the crisis we have today in the aviation sector, in the transport sector, and in just about every sector of our national life would have been envisaged, and their solutions profiled long before today.
Yeah.
So the inability of having a nation that operates on scientific principles,
or rather wobbling, it's even wobbling.
Rather, we wake up with voodoo ideologies.
Yeah.
We try this here to see if it will work. If it doesn't work, we try it on that. The distance between this not working and the journey to this place, a lot of people have gone through traumatic situations. Some have even died out of poverty and pest. So we also need a national vision as a country.
Sure.
Today we don't have a national vision. One administration comes in and tells you between we have what do you call it even project whatever. Today is renewed hope agenda. Only God knows what tomorrow's hope will be. Before the administration before this had its own agenda. The late President Yar'Adua's administration had 7-point agenda or so. So they all have, where is the national vision? So that when one government comes and goes, another builds on it. Mm-hmm. And we keep building until we get what we want out of it. But you see, these intercourse of mismatched plans will keep giving us these results that will take us nowhere. And the arrogance of leadership, where somebody thinks he knows it all, or persons from a given ethnic extraction have the best IQ to give us what we have as a nation, we end up giving us the kind of problems we need. We need a marriage of ideas, superior ideas, not ideas based on ethnic or religious configuration. We need persons with superior brains to man our sensitive
and that leads us to the withdrawal of these police personnel. If government comes out and says this is what I want it to be done, and then the implementation starts, it is expected that nearly every sector of the society will be affected. That being selective. And I think it is on that premise that these lawmakers like Abdul-Ningi, who represents Bauchi Central, stood up and like lamenting that he had only but a police, oddly, who was like protecting him. But when President Tinubu came up with the withdrawal of these police personnel from VIPs, his own was taken away completely, and then he's exposed to danger. And he now sat down and looked critically that this implementation is not even holistic. It appears to be selective. And if it's selective, why see living ministers? Some highly placed individuals. He even said, even entertainers, they go with these people.
And sons and daughters.
I remember I read a piece where Wole Soyinka, was like complaining that in a hotel he was in Lagos. You know, suddenly when he came up from his hotel room, trying to descend, he now saw, you know, a battalion of soldiers inside the hotel in Lagos. So to him, he thought maybe they were shooting a movie. That was what he had in mind. And lo and behold, a young man when the young man sighted him, and who is that young man is, or was? It's son to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that's Sheyi, who was moving with a battalion, all giving him protection, soldiers. So the guy now rushed to him, and then trying to, you know, greet him. He now said, "Are you shooting a film here today?" Jokingly, so to speak, he said. And the boy said, "No." And he said, "This soldier said they are just providing security for him." So he now concluded by saying, if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was really looking for just soldiers that will support the almost removed president of Benin Republic, he's supposed to have just come to his son and take those soldiers to go there because he had so much. Like he was moving with a battalion. Now, the same thing some of these lawmakers are really complaining today as we speak, Dr. Joshua Bennett. You know, they are complaining. Ningi said they have taken his own, but today you will see either the Senate president or the president of the Senate or the speaker still moving with his, or either ministers are still moving with theirs. So to what extent can you say the directive he gave is actually being implemented?
No, it goes back to what I said earlier. There's a systemic failure. A systemic failure, so much so that it is your ability to call the shot that determines what you get at the end of the day. Senator Abdul Ningi is of the PDP extraction. So when I ran into that news, that was the first thought that came to my mind. And this man is opposition. So he should, it was not right to have withdrawn his police orderly and left that of others. It wasn't right. But if you look at what is going on in the system today, that's just what it is. Who was it that said, join the APC and your sins are forgiven?
No.
So it is what it is. But just before we came into the studio, I learned that the president has also directed or ordered, as the case may be, that all police orderlies attached to ministers be withdrawn and be replaced with officers of the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps. So if that is followed through, fine. However, what happened to Senator Abdul Ningi is laughable, but it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. If the president has ordered that so and so be done, some policemen, from what we gather, are being made scapegoats for defying that order, then why should, respectfully speaking, why should people like the Senate president or the deputy Senate president still be moving around with
his own orderlies?
Why? Are they, of course, you know, the Nigerian situation is so funny, and this administration does not care what you think or what you say. And that's why I say the arrogance of leadership. The government of the day think she can do whatever and nobody questions her. They think they bought over the villa by whatever means. Of course, we know in the 2023 election, even the delegate, what do you call it? The APC primaries and what have you.
Yeah.
We saw what happened at Aso Rock. At Eagle Square. We saw how money was exchanging hands. So to that extent, I feel that the government of the day feel they don't owe Nigerians any explanation for their actions. Otherwise, why would the son of the president have
battalion?
What Soyinka called a battalion of soldiers? What office does he occupy other than being the son of the president?
And he began to imagine by saying the present administration is not the first ever to be president of this country. We have had several of these and they have their families. Why this one so peculiar?
That's why I said it is the arrogance of leadership. The arrogance that began at Eagle Square when, respectfully speaking, Mr. President mounted the podium and unilaterally, as a sole administrator, yanked off subsidy by words of mouth.
Then he has not constituted.
He had no economic team. He was just being sworn in that day.
At the point of being sworn in,
at the point of being sworn in, he made that policy statement, and you saw the ripple effects immediately on every sector, because PMS is the life wire of the Nigerian economy. So that is going on. Look at what transpired between the First Lady, respectfully speaking, and the Osun State Governor. Look at what transpired between them, and then look at Seyi Tinubu and Wole Soyinka statements. When the presidency takes a decision, makes a statement, okay, for instance, when before Bayo Onanuga, I believe, was cautioned, when he addresses Peter Obi, for instance, a member of the opposition, and in a democracy we should have a viral opposition, for lack of a better word, you hear the statements he uses. When Peter Obi, after Donald Trump had made his remarks about sending troops into Nigeria, Peter Obi, after a while, commented on it, and his comments suggested that he was in support of that. Bayo Onanuga's reaction, among other things, was that the administration will not forgive him for that. These are statements that have no place in the governance of a country. The body language, the economic policies, just about everything that has to do with this administration. You see intolerance, you see things that you wonder, where have these people been all along that PDP was in power? I'm not a member of PDP, but there's a large level of tolerance from PDP. There was a large level compared to what we have today. Look at the move to decimate any opposition political party, to turn Nigeria into a one-party state. Just the other day, the Rivers State governor made a move to join the APC. Every one of the Adeleke himself is making a move to leave the PDP,
including even PDP from Plateau State.
You see,
the governor.
So they are turning everything, the arrogance of leadership, to think that they own Nigeria. It is distasteful. It shouldn't be. Nigeria shouldn't be so unfortunate as to have a government that will treat it and its people this way.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's supposed to be, so that people will actually become conscious of what they're supposed to do at a point in time. You remember when PDP was in power, those who were in the government were the ones that were fighting the system.
Absolutely.
You know, as a Christian, you know, when the people of Israel were ruled by God, theocracy kind of system of government, then they began to protest that they need somebody among them to rule. God told them the side effect of that. They kept insisting until when he appointed Saul, and Saul became so diabolical in nature, treating them probably in the way they began to, cry back to God. God said no. Until is it Rehoboam or who, the son to Solomon, was like saying, my father, use whatever. Now I'm treating you with a scorpion.
My father used whip to rule on you, now I will use scorpion on you.
Yeah, then that said, to your 10, O Israel. To your 10, O Israel. This is exactly what Nigerians are facing. You had the opportunity, they felt that maybe PDP was like that kind of a thing. And those who were in power are the ones, that fought the system to break away from the original PDP and form what they call them new PDP. And it is from there, things began to change. Until at the end, this formidable government that had itself matched together, that will have APC today in the society. And I'm just making a comparison. If you refuse to do the right thing, or if you are too selfish to a point, the end result will be so disastrous that you cannot really manage it. And that's where we are. Nobody had ever thought to be where we are today, that people will be chasing you to kill, or either you are on the road, somebody takes you away and he's with you in the bush until ransom is paid. So many ills that you cannot imagine could have happened Today, they are almost everywhere, and everybody becoming a victim to it. And so I'm not surprised when some of these issues are being mentioned, the litany of these problems are mentioned. I will now say because we look for them, and that's why we have really got at the end of the day.
No, but I don't think it is out of place for us to have looked for something different from PDP, because where we were,
only being political in nature, but analyzing.
Yes,
because we weren't gods then to know whether the future was going to be good.
Absolutely. That's where I was actually going to. Where we were with PDP, we didn't know what lied on the other side of the fence. However, the coming of APC as an alternative option should have been better than what we have today. It should have been better. It is sad to reflect and see that since APC came into power in 2015, that Nigerians have had to cry bitterly on every side. Take the administration that preceded this. The Buhari administration was not in any way, as a matter of fact, it is one government that many Nigerians are hoping to quickly forget it ever existed. Because Nigerians saw what pain was. As a matter of fact, our fault lines as a nation became more pronounced with the coming into power of late President Buhari. Nigerians became divided along ethnic and religious lines. For the first time in the history of Nigeria that I can remember, the federal character principle was so abused that a region in the country became the pronounced region in just about every sphere of governance. You go to ministries, you go to wherever, it is that particular set of people you see everywhere. And then Buhari has come and gone. Now we have President Bola Tinubu as the president. And then that culture continues to perpetuate itself. And I'm forced to ask, is this an unwritten APC policy to take Nigeria back to to make Nigeria ethnic fault lines to be very pronounced? Because when Buhari was in power, everywhere you go, his people for his ethnic group were pronounced. Today, the Federal Executive Council has almost been turned into a Southwest Executive Council. The presidency, it is gradually becoming a fact, going by the testimony of those who have worked there and who are working there, that the official language in the presidency is slowly becoming Yoruba. For a country as diverse as ours, I think more needs to be done. And it will be a shame on the governors to capitulate in 2027 and all put their eggs in the president's basket.
Politically, if we analyze and then project your mind into the future, you understand that this country has been captured. They call it state capture. Those who have captured the state, they determine where the country where it will go. And as much as they are the ones doing that, I bet you will never see any effective change that can be said to be trickled down to those who are just at the lower level of the society. It's not going to be like that. Yes, because life becomes so expensive by the day. And if it goes on like that, and then will not lead to people eliminating by nature by themselves, dying gradually, very unknowingly. And then in their quantum number as a result of that, because that's the way it is. And I'm not surprised you coming up with Joshua KB KB, the
disabilities rights and support.
Yes, because you said not just physical, but emotionally people are dead. You see a person walking, but he's not himself really.
Absolutely.
I know what I have seen so many people dropping, becoming unconscious on the road. I watched one person like that. Was just talking, and all of a sudden I saw him rushing to a pole. He grabbed it, but because already the brain was no longer functioning, the hand lost completely from that pole, and then he fell down. In fact, I was one of the persons that rushed to pick him. We began to find him, and then gradually he came back to life. I must tell you this, I saw it and I partook in rescuing him to the level he finally became. See, you look at some of all these issues on ground. It never happened like that in the past. Because people are completely saturated with problems that they cannot bear. At the home front, he's been taxed. In the office, he thinks of where to get the money to come back home. And that's the way it operates nearly every day. And the heart, keeps beating very unnecessarily.
You are right, Gimba. You are right. I agree with you absolutely. You see, like I have always maintained, the effect and impact of poor governance goes beyond the urban centers. It drives to the very essence of the human being. Man being, or the citizen being unable to live to the fullest of his potential. Economically, socially, career-wise, in every realm of it. And that is why, like you have rightly pointed out, there is high mortality incidence among Nigerians these days. I used to know of a guy, Moses. Way back, some few months ago, we were about crossing a highway, and Moses totally forgot where he was. He forgot he was on a highway, a Mabushi Road highway. I know how the traffic goes there.
Yeah, sure.
We had to scream at him before he came back to his senses. Only to realize that Moses had demands from the family, and there was no way to meet these demands. This government policy has driven Nigerians down the poverty line, so much that many Nigerians are looking. It is either you have a way to survive it, or you have no way to survive it
and die
off. Why do you think many of our youths are finding themselves in unscrupulous behaviors? For the ladies, of course, prostitution becomes the escape route. For the young men, you hear things like Yahoo, advanced fee fraud. You hear things like rituals. Why is there the high incidence of rituals? High incidence of drug abuse for those who cannot engage this other way around. People are looking for every available means to escape the social and economic depredation that the government and its policies have pushed Nigerians into. And that's why Joshua KB Disabilities Rights and Support Initiative came up to say, we have to find a way to save Nigerians from the trauma that our government is putting our people into. For us, it is not a function of sit and watch. Because how do you even manage a situation where today one man is healthy, tomorrow he comes back, or you hear from whatever means that he has lost a limb? Either as a result of his state of mind, or the recklessness of another.
But that person who's indulged in that kind of, who's actually saturated in mind with similar kind of problems.
Just while I was coming to the studio, I met a woman, or I passed a woman and her baby, her child. They were begging for transport to go to wherever. So we came up with this to see how we can bring succor to Nigerians who don't have the means. We may not be able to answer everybody's prayers, but as many as the Almighty will give us the opportunity to reach out to, whether in form of giving them support, whether trainings, whether giving them some kind of handouts to survive for that day or for whatever length that handout will take them. So, or for those who have lost their limbs, to give them what to support them going forward. And then those whose rights are being trampled upon. We have our legal partners to help to defend them by whatever arrangement we can afford to get, to help to defend them, and to help to believing that the judiciary will do her job without sacrificing justice to the highest bidder. Yeah. So we are hoping, of course, by the Joshua KB Disabilities Rights and Support Initiative, that we will get partners we come, we will get as many partners as we can reach, and then reach out to Nigerians who are vulnerable in whatever way that they are, within the period of this economic hardship and beyond, to give their lives a meaning and draw as many as we can from the drudgery of pains and poverty.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joshua Bennett, for this insightful discussion. Today we're living in a country with packed full with noise, and we need to put the facts straight so that those who are watching us will clearly understood to a certain extent how things are really are in the society and the ways government are really doing to solving those problems. We believe by criticizing every system creates an enabling environment, and they create that consciousness within the minds of those who are said to be leaders, so that tomorrow will become better, either not for ourselves, probably for those who are coming after us. I really appreciate you for being part of this program, Big Talk, on Global TV, this channel 365 DSTV.
Thank you, Gemba. It's a pleasure, and whenever you need me, we need to get Nigeria working.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's how we can go on the program Big Talk this evening. My name again is Topsy Gimba. News comes your way at 8. Stay tuned and see you again tomorrow with another package. Bye-bye.